to the ELM Management Console and Dashboard Overview. In this video, we'll take a quick walk through the features of the new UI found in ELM Enterprise Manager 7.5 and touch on some of the variety of options you'll find within the dashboard displays. Let's jump right in. When you first launch the Management Console UI, you'll see a few familiar design elements. The top ribbon provides navigation similar to most Microsoft Office products, and some menu options or buttons will change based on the data you're viewing. On the left side, you'll see the Explorer panel, mimicking the contents of the folders found in the MMC for monitors, agents, monitoring categories, views, notifications, and reports. On the main screen here, you'll see a tab called All Agents with a variety of graphs and displays. This area of the screen is what we refer to as documents. Any open documents will appear here as different tabs that you can navigate through. So you can have multiple event views, agent details, or performance metrics open all at once, like tabs in a browser. Across the footer of the screen, we have three status indicators: the ELM server this console is connected to, the database in use, and the number of agents reporting. Each of these has a color-coded indicator, green being good, red indicating something not good. A great new feature of ELM 7.5 is that you can have a single console connected to multiple servers, and we'll cover that in another article or video. You can double-click on any of these status indicators as a shortcut to display the ELM server document with details of the ELM server configuration, the database in use, or the agent's reporting. And we'll get into those and the options within each in more detail further into this video. Now let's step back over and go through the Explorer panel on the left. There are two viewing options, the most common tree style and a list option. Each of the folders in the hierarchy expand to display the contents within. To view a specific item, such as an event view, we'll double-click the name and it will open a document in the main area of the screen. In this case, any event we click on will show the event details in the bottom section of the document. Not all items within the Explorer tree can open as a document. Several of the folders in the tree have right-click menu options, such as the ELM server or a report. At the top of the Explorer panel, there is also a dynamic search option. This would come in handy, for example, if you have dozens or even hundreds of servers and you want to quickly pinpoint one by name. You can clear your search with X, and the most recent searches are also stored for future use. The Explorer panel is resizable and can be hidden or pinned in place. The ribbon can also be hidden if you are looking for more screen real estate. Now that we're familiar with the different areas of the screen, let's take a look at the ELM server configuration. This used to be located in the Windows Control applet in previous versions, but now it is much more easily accessible through the ELM Management Console. We can configure settings by double-clicking the ELM server name to open a document, right-clicking the ELM server and choosing Document or Edit, or by using the shortcut area in the footer. So you can see there are multiple ways to navigate through the UI. Notice there's an ELM server tab open now, and we can review the retention policy for the primary database, settings for ports, any archiving filters being used, any trusted servers, and data coming from downstream servers that are forwarding to a central ELM server, and finally, any SNMP v3 traps that are set up. If we choose to edit the configuration, the Edit panel opens in the Explorer panel, allowing us to scroll through and make any changes. If you do modify any settings, you must hit Save and then the changes will take place immediately. You can also see tabs on the bottom of the panel, providing the ability to toggle back and forth between Edit and Explorer. There are List View and Search options in the Edit pane as well. To close out of the Edit panel, you must save, cancel, or click X at the top. So now we'll highlight the ELM server document and change the display using the drop-down menu option in the ribbon. For this particular document, we have three options: ELM server configuration, agents reporting, and database configuration. Notice those correspond directly to the shortcuts in the footer. On the database configuration, you can see the name of the database, its role, status, what version of SQL, the size of the database, and when it was created. When multiple databases are present, there are additional columns displayed for date ranges. We have a few options on this document as well: create a new database and database tasks. It's important to note that if you highlight a database and then select tasks, then change to a different database, you must click tasks again for the Explorer panel to change. This will ensure you don't make changes to the wrong database. The test option makes sure ELM can connect to the database. Clicking Validate will run a number of validation scripts in order against the database to ensure the structure for the data input and extraction. Pruning is a nightly maintenance on the database, so for example, if you came in and made some changes to retention settings and you wanted to prune out your primary database, you could do that here. Now we'll take a look at agents reporting. This is a quick visual representation of the number and percentage of agents reporting in green and any agents not reporting in red. The table will update based on which part of the graph is clicked for a quick reference showing the system's name, its last report time, and any description available. You can also toggle between the statuses at the top of the table. Okay, now that we've gone through the ELM server configuration, let's come back and take a look at that All Agents document with all the performance metric indicators and displays that perked our interest the minute we opened the new UI. The All Agents document shows a high-level status of all monitored systems with licenses installed that have performance collection abilities. From the ribbon menu, we can toggle between dashboard and configuration displays of all agents. Its last report time and date, the DNS alias, the license installed, OS version, if it is currently in maintenance mode, and the last time modifications took place. Agents have dozens of properties, and these have been grouped together in different column layouts depending on what you want to view. You can also view all columns for full agent details. There's a dynamic search box on this display as well. Flipping back over to the dashboard display, let's walk through each of the status indicators and options on this document. Again, we can change the column layouts here from default to performance details to status details to all. Let's stick with the defaults for now. If we click on the name of an agent, it will launch a new document displaying the events for that agent. We'll go into consolidated event views more in detail in just a bit, so let's jump back to the dashboard. Double-clicking on one of the statuses will open an agent document that shows what triggered that status. In this case, we're looking at the point-to-point verification or heartbeat event, showing that the agent is responding, collecting events, and sending them to the ELM server as expected. We can scroll through the list and see what set off our peak status. In this case, it was an event correlation where the point-to-point or heartbeat start event occurred, but no matching event was found before the timeout. Double-clicking on the processor chart will bring up an agent document showing the calculated values that were combined together and normalized to indicate the processor bottleneck we saw on the dashboard. Each of these sparkline charts from the dashboard are essentially shortcuts to view the options you'll find on the agent document itself. We can look at the disk chart, switch to look at a disk table, and you can see options for the processor, memory, and so on down the line. Each view can either be a table or a chart format when available. Let's pause for just a moment and explain what we mean by calculated values. Essentially, we take a value, such as free disk space, and normalize to a value that can be represented by 100 or lower in a chart and displayed on the dashboard, which focuses on calculated values. So if you are looking at the disk bottleneck, it may show in the red, but your disk free space is just fine. So why is it red? If we then go to look at the disk chart, you would see that a number of counters are used for calculating the value. So while your free space may be fine, your disk queue length may be huge, and that is what triggered the high value in the bottleneck. There's really more than what may first meet the eye when it comes to monitoring server performance. So where did this normalization calculation come from? We didn't just make it up. Microsoft published an article on best practices for diagnosing common server problems using different objects and counters to monitor the pulse of the server. From over 60 basic performance objects, we've selected the counters that reveal the true vital signs for most performance-related issues for our dashboard displays. This is based on Microsoft's recommendations. You can check out that article at this link for more information on performance bottlenecks. Now let's take a look at the general performance display. Here you can select what you want displayed from any available counter. You can select any date range and change colors on the graph to whatever you feel appropriate. You can hover over the graph to see the stats, very similar to Perfmon. This kind of information can be very helpful when trying to answer a question like, why at 4 o'clock every day does a CPU spike? Or memory usage spikes? It's important to note that only systems with licenses assigned that include performance collectors will show performance data in the dashboard. The final option we'll cover on the dashboard is the ability to clear current or peak statuses. For example, let's say we're looking at peak indicators for a server and the status was set by a ping failure. However, we know that that particular system is running maintenance updates and is going through some reboots. We can clear the status by highlighting the server and clicking Clear Selected Status. We also have the option here to clear all status, all agents on the document. You may not want to do this with all agents, but rather if you have a monitoring category document open, perhaps file servers, and they're all in maintenance and rebooting. You can clear them all one by one with this option. Other reasons to clear a status may be when you have a low disk space warning and you fix the issue, you may want to clear that status. Other reasons to clear it may be after recovering from a network port failure, a logon failure, application failure, or other similar problems that have been resolved. Dashboard statuses can also be set to clear themselves and reset after a specified time period. Now we're going to move on from the dashboard display and take a look at views, event views, security views, and correlation views. Under the Viewing and Notifying folder in the Explorer panel, we can expand any of these items to see the views within, just like you would with the MMC. Double-clicking any event view will open an event view document, similar to an agent document. Events stream into these views in real time unless an event is clicked and highlighted, then you'll notice on the controls that the display has paused. This helps if you are trying to pick out the details of a specific event so it isn't scrolling off the screen. To unpause or continue streaming, you can click the Continue button in the ribbon or use the Play button in the controls area. Here you also have controls to jump to the next or previous row, the next or previous page, and the first or last row. You can also change the magnification of the display in this control area or reset the default sorting. Finally, we see the number of events being displayed in the view per the view settings set up in the MMC console. You can change the column layout from the default to show all columns, or you can select columns you want displayed in the event view. Any event you highlight will show the message text in the lower panel. A new Inline Search feature allows searching any visible column on the fly as you type to quickly track down specific event or system information. It's important to remember that the search only queries visible columns, so it may be a good idea to include the message text as a visible column if you're going to be searching a lot. Another great feature for sorting data is filtering by columns. New for ELM 7.5, you can quickly filter out specific data being displayed by any of the column headings that show the filter icon next to the label. These column filters are for the current display only and have no relation to the event view or monitoring item filters. As you select multiple filters across columns, you can see the filter building here next to the controls. If you want to modify them, you can edit here or clear the filter. Just as in the MMC, you can expand a view and see what include or exclude filters are assigned to it as well as any notification methods. However, you cannot make changes here. Event views in the ELM Management Console are currently view only. Any new or changes to existing filters, views, or notification methods must be made in the MMC. ELM 7.5 features an entirely new reporting engine. Double-clicking on any of the pre-configured items will launch a preview of the report. Reports can be scheduled by selecting the Publish option. This will launch a wizard that will walk through the details of producing the report. Which database to run against, verify the report we want to publish, we can adjust max number of records, the date range or custom range, and a specific monitoring category if we want to narrow the report down. Then we have an option for a where clause field where we can further customize to select detailed parameters in a SQL query, like a particular event ID from particular servers, or perhaps a custom logon report. Reports can be custom branded with a header image, and footer text as well. Next we can schedule when the report runs and how often. Here we can choose to produce a file or have it emailed and select the file type, either PDF, CSV, or spreadsheet. Note, for a file output, the accessible path is from the ELM server, not from a local desktop. Finally, we can modify the name or the description of the report if desired, and finish to save it. This report will now appear under the All Publications section of the Reports and Publications library. If we click on All Publications, we can see the results of each report that is scheduled, when it runs, the last status, date range, delivery type, number of pages, and how long it took to run. We can also change from status to configuration to see details of the report configurations. Here we have the option to edit a report, run it now, and delete it. We can also launch the wizard to start a new report publication from here. It's important to note that any custom reports created in ELM 7.0 or earlier will need to be exported as XML prior to upgrading to 7.5 and sent to TNT Software to be updated for the new reporting engine. Also, any default reports or a report created from an event view will have to be set up again as a new publication in the new UI. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Please be sure to check out our other tutorials, help topics, and videos on getting the most out of ELM Enterprise Manager. Thanks for watching.